Yeah, yeah. Okay, I think I'm a boomer. I think I'm a zoomer. I think I'm a doomer. Damn, I'm Montezuma. Okay. EGGWHITE coming with the heat.
I stay fooling with my bop, my tunes will make your speakers hot. Dance floor, hopscotch, baby, do the pop and knock. Boots I'm trying to knock.
Welcome to the Grillcast, the only podcast in the world dedicated to radical centrism. I am your host, Orion, and joining me as always is Micah. What's up, buddy?
Not much. Glad to be here once again.
We have a hell of a show lined up today. We have a libertarian insider, somebody who is the cream of the crop. We got Amos. What's up, man?
Nothing much. Thanks for having me.
So I kind of want to talk to you about libertarianism in general. As radical centrists, we are anti-libertarianism in many ways. And I want to know if you think that there's any way that it can fit with radical centrism. Is there any, roads that can be paved between our looming cities?
It depends on how you, where you would want to start with that. Like, are we talking on the local level, on the national level? Because there's different answers for different parts.
Yeah, this is my problem with you libertarians, local and national and all these words. I'm talking very broadly yet very specifically,
Yeah.
Is there
what are you
going to
do for me,
libertarianism? What are you going to do for me? Why is...
Yeah. The big thing is really just to allow people to live their lives freely and be accountable to themselves only, not have control over other people's lives.
But what about people I don't like?
Don't live near them or don't associate with them. That's your freedom. If you want to live in a neighborhood where people are more,
What if I can only afford to live in a neighborhood with people that I don't like?
A wingcuck neighborhood.
Oh,
exactly.
I mean,
they do have the lowest value homes.
I mean, that's essentially how most libertarians feel, living in places that people don't agree with them. Then you could look into why that is. Is the government's fault? We like to blame everything on the government, but sometimes it's more complicated than that.
Yeah, see, my problem is like you're talking about like freedom and doing whatever you want, and I like that for myself. I want to do that, sure, because I deserve it. I'm better than the people I dislike. I'm better than wingcucks. I need there to be some sort of system that that punishes them for their wingcuck ways. How can libertarianism offer that to me?
Well, it depends on what you mean. Is their wingcuck ways harming you in any way besides just them existing?
Yeah, they're breathing my air. They're they're drinking my water. They're posting on the internet things that I don't like to look at. Somebody has to do something about this, and it doesn't sound like your people are up for the job.
Yeah,
we're like nice folks.
We're pretty open to just people being shitty all by themselves, and
here's the problem I'm having right with libertarians. I think we share a sort of commonality where with centrists we have a bad reputation. Right, we get a bad rep for basically not providing any real solutions. But on your end of the spectrum, libertarians, your solutions are literally to provide no solutions. Whereas with us, it's more so a matter of, we're just getting the facts together. We're figuring out the best possible way to do things. And that just takes a long time. The solutions are coming, people. Okay, the radically centrist solutions are coming. You're just going to have to give us time. But with libertarianism, that's just not the case. The solutions aren't coming. And we all know that's true.
Yeah, we essentially believe that the solutions come from groups of people that choose to voluntarily associate with each other. We believe that through natural interactions that solutions come about through that instead of centrally planning for solutions.
You don't think that's like I don't know, what would the word be? You don't find that kind of wording to be like a bit fanciful?
I mean, wouldn't then radical centrism have its own fanciful idealisms about that too?
Well, no, because radical centrism is based.
It could be based on a small level, I would agree, but on a large level, I think you have too much control over people's lives.
I want to let you know that based is spelled BASTE.
And the thing is, look, I agree with you halfway. As a radical centrist, I can see what you're talking about. Like, I do think that there are systems that have too much control over my life, because whenever I'm trying to, like, for example, like if I'm trying to like drunk drive and I'm getting pulled over by a cop, like that cop is a fascist and he shouldn't be pulling me over because I can drive
So
drunk fine. I'm a good drunk driver, but other drunk drivers, I can see why they'd get pulled over. They're retarded. But me, like, I can do it. I'm built different.
right, no. The interesting thing about drunk driving, I believe annually there's, and I know you guys are gonna want to call me on the stats because you guys are centrist about that. My understanding is I think drunk driving is as deadly, probably actually not as deadly as gun violence in the U.S.
Now hold on. Do you
Probably.
have an accredited source to back up your claim?
Well, my understanding is
Source?
No, no, I don't. I've just heard the stat quoted a lot on
There
Well,
it
you
is.
general.
heard it here, everybody. No source.
In general,
And that's
annually
just
in
how
the
it
U.S., about 30,000 vehicle deaths every year, I believe.
And I've caused absolutely zero of them, even whilst drunk. So why should I be banned from drunk driving? It makes no sense. Like once
It's
somebody drunk, you know what I'm saying, man? Like,
Oh no, I know, I
if
know.
somebody
We
does,
could talk about drunk driving if you want to go into how only 1 out of 10 drunk drivers ever
how
get pulled
based it
over.
is.
Huh? It's not based at all.
Talk about how based it is? Sure.
No.
Not based at all. Dude, I have to work in the morning. I need to get my
How
car
can
home.
what
Like,
better
what?
way can you defy the state than drunk driving? Like you're literally like violating. First of all,
Um
that in and of itself is a law. You're also then breaking the law on public roads. Like how does that not appeal to you?
I could tell you a more based way to defy the government. It's called bribing public officials. I'm not being
That is pretty based.
It is. I mean, think about it though. Like you give them money that they can't report to the state, and therefore they won't be taxed on it, and they're a public official, so that's like even more of the middle finger to the government. You got to think of it that way.
Now, see, this is what I'm getting is that my ideal society is one wherein me and other people who are as big brained and alpha as me, they get to do whatever they want. But in your society, it's just based off of money. And
Uh,
that's the problem is if it's just based off of money, then it's like, you could just be some fucking shit stain retard and get off. And there's people who are based who don't have access to capital yet, to get out of drunk driving charges that they should have never been given in the first place because they only had like 6 or 7 beers and like it's not a big deal, man. They have to get to work in the morning. Like what? Are they just supposed to leave their car behind? Come on.
So you brought up an interesting point there about living with your other big brain friends. There's an actual idea in libertarian circles called a covenant community. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I think we have
I'm
heard of this.
pro-human. I don't like the
So
covenant.
it's basically
Shut the fuck.
in this for lack of a better word, in your ideal libertarian world, people would be able to freely just move about and settle down somewhere that they are associating with people they want to, and they basically have like a covenant. I mean, covenant sounds cringe, I'll say that, but just the understanding of like we agree to live here together and we're going to follow these basic rules. Everything else we're free
Yeah,
to
no,
do.
we had this conversation with the other libertarian who came on the show. Although they had called it something else that was goofy and funny, and I can't remember what the name was exactly.
It's
But
like a gated
basically,
community, but more in principle than physically.
yeah. And at the end of the day, I think we all came to the conclusion.
A wall of principle.
Yeah, exactly.
We're building a wall of principle here.
And the commies are gonna pay for it.
But we came to the conclusion that it just doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. It's not like every Bethesda game ever where it just works because you have the other covenants. Let's say the people in that community decide, well, we want to integrate these other covenants, these other communities, and they decide to do it by force. So how do there's no real way to adjudicate without the state.
Right. So this is kind of where I'm gonna get into, I guess, a fight with other libertarians because we never get into any fights. Is that you have this ideal world where there's little to no government, but eventually, through that disorder, through that natural like association, enough people are going to come together and decide, hey, let's make a more complex system that accounts for more people. And then government comes back. So it's inevitable that people
With a
it's like that
vengeance?
Family Guy episode where they said there's no government and then government came back anyways. So that's where I kind
Government
of
2.
what's that?
Government 2. This time it's personal.
Exactly. So it's where you start to kind of go back to, okay, maybe it's not just eliminate all government. As much as we would like that, and we get off on that as libertarians, we got to realize that maybe it's just better to make things like, how can we bring more freedom to people? How can we remove, corruption in government? How can we cut back on things that just in general don't make sense that the government does? Like
I can tell you one way that you're not doing that, and it's by running for public office. So I want to ask you this: do you think that you can convince the people in your party to forego running candidates in future elections so that we don't have to like collectively cringe at what you all do?
Well, the thing about that is we've actually elected quite a few libertarians in the last couple of years.
Do you have an accredited source to back up your claim?
Yeah.
I do.
This country is going down the shitter. He has a point.
There's been a kind of a philosophical split within the Libertarian Party where for the first roughly 40 to 45 years, and my accredited source is actually someone who works on the Libertarian Party staff, is the Libertarian Party in the US is 50 years this year. And for the first like 45-ish years, we've basically been taking the stance that we're just a philosophical movement. We have no, desire to pursue any office, whether local, statewide, or federal. Like everything is just philosophy. We put out a presidential candidate. We feel good for 4 years, and then we argue about it for after the election.
So I did Google search elected libertarians and clicked on the very first result that I could find, and it says that there are just 352 elected libertarians. That doesn't seem like a lot.
Yeah, well, the thing is about that, why the Libertarian Party isn't doing so well, is that you said the Libertarian Party is what, like 50?
Right.
And libertarians don't like things that are that old.
Yeah. No, it's it's just a number, So yeah, for the first majority of the Libertarian Party's history, they've basically not taken any hard, push towards putting candidates in office. Those 350 that you mentioned, half of those people were elected in the last year or two, and a lot of those are actually local offices. The highest held office by a libertarian currently is in a few state legislatures across the country. And before that, we had Justin Amash from Michigan, who was elected as a Republican, but halfway through his term, switched over and was recognized by the House of Representatives as a libertarian. But he chose not to run for re-election, and he's a big part of the party, but not
because he would have lost.
Yeah, we'll never really know. I mean, it's there. You're not entirely. There's definitely a good chance he would not have won. So,
before we move on, before we move on to our next segment, I wanted to ask you, because we talked a few minutes ago about how we had another libertarian on the show, Pink Flame of Liberty.
Yes,
and
the former secretary of your entire party.
Right.
Yeah, former secretary of your entire party. And I wanted to know what experiences you had with her, because the way she talked about it, she said that she was like, oppressed, and you all formed a government against her and did a fascism or something. And I want to hear your side of the story, because that's what we here at the Grillcast do. We hear both sides and we make an informed decision.
So now we're referring her as Pink Flame of Liberty, was she at all known by her name? Like, you guys know her name. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we doxed her. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so first off, she is a secretary for what is known as the Libertarian National Committee, which is they serve the party, but it's not like the whole party. We're actually, again, there's that separation between a national party and state parties. But she was removed because basically, you know, she says that people got triggered, people got mad at her, and, you know, said words of violence and things like that. But having
Which they
looked at
are.
everything, having looked at, yeah, and to a degree, like, there's a level of speech that you're just, you know, there's harassment, there's calling to action for, you know, actually doing something to cause harm. Not that she did any of that, but she was essentially, from what I had seen on social media and even on like live streams and such that she was doing, she would say it was like to keep people accountable by, you know, like we do in the public. Like, if you don't like something or you believe in something, you write your senator, you write your representative, hey, I care about this bill, or I don't care about this bill, something like that. But it turned into more of a directing people to, you know, enabling people to harass rather than actually addressing concerns. There
Yeah, it
was
kind of
a
sounds
lot
just like a
of
bunch of gay office drama to me.
Oh, exactly. And that's the thing, is that position that she was serving, and anyone that serves on that committee is supposed to just be professionals conducting business, and just, we move along. You get removed because you get removed. They followed all the procedures. She even appealed for it, and it was shot down still. She couldn't get it changed.
I haven't
and
heard anything she specifically did though, and that's what I'm wondering. Like, did she
Hmm.
like show up in someone's like front lawn and like throw eggs at their house while like screaming about how children should be able to work in mines? Or it kind of sounds like she like out libertarianed you guys from what I'm hearing
Yeah, a
now.
little bit.
No, she basically had gone to the judicial committee of the party and wanted to appeal her process. They went through the. I
No,
believe
no,
she
no, no,
even
no, 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 no,
hired.
no, 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 no. What did she initially do? What was it you said? She like it was people were saying that they didn't like
Oh,
her
so there would be things that
behavior.
she wouldn't. Sorry, there'd be things that she wouldn't agree with that were being done by the committee, and she would say, "Hey, everyone that follows her, like, write all these people." And what had happened was, and especially when they were considering suspending her, she told them to write even more. And I was hearing from members on the committee that, you know, they were getting 3, 4, 500 emails every day leading up to certain
Lol.
events. And keep in mind, these people are all volunteers. They don't get paid to do what they do. And
That's
they
not
have
very libertarian. They don't get
No, it's
paid.
not.
there's a difference between people that serve on the committee versus people who are paid on staff. There's different objectives they're forming. They usually just have a regular set of meetings to conduct business in the party, and then that's it. It's not a crazy amount of commitment, but there is a commitment to it. But because of these things, it forces them to meet way more than they usually do.
Well, you know, that sounds kind of like slavery to me. And
little bit.
that's a topic that really hits hard for us here in Black History Month. This is the most holy, the most sacred month that our country has.
Ramadan?
There's so many people that have, yeah, Black History Month. Come on, man.
Yeah, come on. You know,
You know,
like
there's
sorry,
so
I was
many
just
important Black American. I know you were getting heated, Mikey. You were getting heated. Me too, bro.
well, it's just
I
like he
feel
should
it.
know, right? He should know how important this month is. February is the month where corporations and politicians take time out of their very busy schedules to pretend to care about black people. And I thought that we could, you know, we would be able to move along in this process and not have any, you know, not have any ridiculous banter or interruptions. But Amos is just unable to hold it together, I guess.
Now, you know, amongst those that we celebrate this most holy of months, Rachel Dolezal, the African American queen who's been stripped of her melanin by angry whites and angry
Mostly.
winkucks in general. They hate her. Tariq Nasheed, the brave documentarian and journalist who brought us buck breaking and exposed, the inner mechanisms of white supremacy,
The white homosexual agenda.
the white homosexual agenda. I would never have known about that because I'm so not gay. If it wasn't for Tariq Nasheed, I'm not gay. We also have like Bill Cosby,
O.J. Simpson.
and O.J. Simpson, two men attacked by the justice system, both exonerated, but it still shows, the just the caliber of which our society hates these people for the simple crime of loving too much and being too melaninated. And Micah, do you have any other thoughts on some of our brave black countrymen who have fought so hard for so many years?
Well, I think just as a closing point, we should also give special recognition to Sean King, who proves to us that even white people can be the biggest contributors to black empowerment.
Speaking of white people who contribute to black justice, let's talk about Justin Trudeau a little bit. Justin Trudeau, he's fled Canada. He's fled because of the Truckistani terrorist movement who are attacking him. Now, when I say terrorist, you may think that comes with a negative connotation, but it doesn't, because we here at the Grillcast are, supportive of the new LGBT movement that is the landlords, gamers, billionaires, and truckers. We've been on that since literally episode 1 for the landlords, gamers, billionaires, and truckers movement. And so we see these brave freedom fighters, brave freedom fighters doing what they do best, and that is upholding liberty, upholding the very values that make American society. And Justin Trudeau has some words for them.
I have attended protests and rallies in the past when I agreed with the goals, when I supported the people expressing their concerns and their issues. Black Lives Matter is an excellent example of that. But I have also chosen to not go anywhere near protests that have expressed hateful rhetoric, violence towards fellow citizens, and a disrespect, not just of science, but of the frontline health workers and
the
science. The 90%
You're
of truckers
disrespecting the
have
science.
been doing the right thing to keep Canadians safe, to put food on our tables. Canadians know where I stand. This is a moment for responsible leaders to think carefully about where they stand and who they stand with.
Oh yeah, and he looks so haggard right now because he's currently sick with COVID. This is the state of Justin Trudeau, right? So he has COVID. He runs away from Ottawa like a bitch because tens of thousands of truckers have descended like a fucking horde, a horde of pure evil, just going there to harass people. We've all seen this, right? Just honking for
Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
Have you seen this? You heard about this? The whole weekend is blaring their horns, terrorizing the Redditors of Canada who, don't leave their house, so they have nowhere to go, and
their cats are stress pooping.
It's been an all around horrible situation for them. So, he mentions that these people have been doing violence upon their community, generally being terroristic, and I'd like to show a video of what exactly is going on there in Canada right now. Now, this is the first time in my entire life that I've been jealous of Canadians. Generally, I hate those fucking maple syrup drinking moose fuckers. They're horrible people. I've lived on the border of the USA and Canada before, and they have this reputation of being, we're so nice and polite, and we drink.
Yeah, two words for you, buddy. Bagged milk.
Bagged milk, exactly. And most of their women look like a bag of milk, of rotting milk. I mean, these are bad people. These are bad people. But the LGBT, the landlords, gamers, billionaires, and truckers movement, it doesn't know borders. It's an international movement, and that's what these truckers are showing here today. Amos, do you have any thoughts on these truckers and their movement?
I mean, I'm in pretty strong support of what they've been doing. As far as I've seen, they're highly vaccinated. They're a diverse crowd of people that are just out there giving the finger to, I think, pretty much a broken promise from Trudeau.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it, and that's why a lot of people are supporting this movement. And I want to make it very clear that I myself, and you know what, fuck it, I'll just say we here at the Grillcast, Micah, you're roped into this one too. We don't care about these vaccine mandates at all. I just generally support this kind of terrorism. Driving into a town, we here at the Grillcast, me and Micah support this kind of terrorism. You see, because they just drive into town with tens of thousands of their homies, fuck up all of those fucking stupid Ottawans. Their whole weekend is just hearing honk, honk, honk. Like what you just heard there, that's going on for 72 hours plus, and it's still going on. And these people, they're crying, they're posting on Reddit, they're coping, they're seething, some even dilating, I've heard, some sources say, top men say. And, to to see this go down like it's going down. I want it to happen in America. I want it to happen with truckers all over the world. It's truckers' times to rise up and show
actionable threat. Well, I just want to clarify for the federal agents tuning in that when he says this terrorism, he's obviously referring to peaceful terrorism.
Yes.
We would never support any type of violence against anybody ever at any point in time or history.
Yeah,
because violence is wrong.
Unless they mouthed off to me, because I'm a tough guy, bro. No one talks bad to me, bro. But no, but we do support this peaceful terrorism we're seeing, because that's what Justin Trudeau said, is basically these people are terrorists who can't be supported, and that's why he had to leave. Yeah. Now, you might be thinking this is going to run out of steam. There's no way that these people are going to stick around and, do this for their whole lives. How could they? These people, their spirits can't take this. It's just going to fizzle out and be a footnote in history. But this clip I'm going to show you guys shows that these men, they have the spirit of the warrior.
I'm with you. There's no weakening, guys. They can leave. But the only way I'm leaving is in a cruiser. Yes.
There you go.
You know what? 100%. That's right.
You know what?
Who's here? So who's going to stay? I'm
Who's
staying.
staying?
Who's staying?
Their tactics are we're surrounded.
Yes.
Freedom!
Yes. It's all morale, Alex. Keep up the morale. You already started.
I guess the ones that want to leave can leave. If you're worried about funds, a GoFundMe will pay the fine. We have money.
Alex, they can issue us a ticket for a highway.
Yeah, I heard they
traffic
raised
stop.
like over
That's
$3
all they
million.
can do. Bring on the ticket.
I think it's 10 million now.
Jesus.
Now, see, these fucking people, they have the heart of the warrior. They have the heart of the warrior, man. They're there. This is Canada! Freedom! They're not gonna be stopped. And they learned from, the riots of 2020 that what you can do is you just put up a GoFundMe so that people pay for you to do whatever the hell they want, and you just get bailed out. It's like, fine. Yeah. There's no consequences for these people, and there shouldn't be, because they're fighting for freedom. That pub there, that's like the founding fathers in fucking, the 1700s or whatever, all gathering around talking about how they're going to overthrow the British, how they're going to take back their country. The founding fathers also probably quoted Braveheart in 300.
Dude, that one line about, those of you who want to leave are free to leave, that line was ripped straight out of the Alamo movie.
It was. It totally was. And look, those are hard men. Those are men that they're so hard right now. I'm not gay. And they say, if you want to leave, if you want to be a pussy, a piece of shit,
If you want to be a little bitch.
if you want to be a little bitch,
and I have you on camera.
Then you go ahead and walk out that door. But us proud truckers, we're not going to stand for this shit any longer. There's nothing more in the world than I want than to be there right now. So power be to those people, and may the truckers not only in Canada but worldwide see what's going on there
Truly.
and peacefully rise up.
Truly a historic moment for the LGBT.
It's great to see the representation that we firmly needed for so long.
I mean, yeah, there honestly hasn't been anything this empowering for us since Gamergate, right?
Yeah, I guess not. Fucking Gamergate. God, talk about like the most cringe thing on the planet.
Yeah.
There's people who's made careers out of Gamergate,
Yeah.
and they're that guy now. Oh my god. Oh, let's not get into that. I think the last thing I want to go over is that AOC actually tweeted out in support of the truckers. This is a bipartisan movement.
You'll love to see it.
Yeah, you know, you might not believe me. This is one of those things that you have to see to believe. The whole point of protesting is to make people uncomfortable. Activists take that discomfort with the status quo and advocate for concrete policy changes. Popular support often starts small and grows. To folks who complain protest demands make others uncomfortable, that's the point.
And people might be saying to themselves, well, what's up with the date at the bottom? It seems to say December 2nd,
She was an
2020.
original supporter.
Yeah, just don't look at that. Don't pay that any mind.
These exotic women like AOC, you know, many of them can tell the future. That's one of their exotic woman powers, and that's what she's done.
She's
here.
fucking Hispanic. She's not a gypsy. What are you?
Speaking of POC putting statements out there, Joe Rogan has recently come under fire for
Unjustly so.
Unjustly so. Just for going on his show and saying, you know, maybe the vaccines will kill you immediately if you take them. Probably shouldn't do it. Just for saying that, unjustifiably, he's getting railroaded by many actors and organizations out there. It all started off with Neil Young boycotting, saying, "I won't upload to Spotify anymore unless you take down Joe Rogan." Now, what I find funny about Neil Young, okay, is that he calls himself Neil Young, but the dude's a fucking geezer. He's very old, and very, very apparently so. And yet he's gonna go around calling himself Neil Young still after all
Very
this time?
disingenuous.
Very disingenuous. He's talking about how misinformation should be banned, but his name is misinformation.
Do you have a source to back that?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Actually, hold on. I got you. Neil Young, Canadian-American singer. What does that even mean, Canadian-American? He's born November 12th, 1945,
Oh
age
my
76 years
God.
old. So he is old.
Oh my
He is not young.
He's the
I
king
mean,
of the boomers.
as a libertarian, I must say age is just a number.
Yeah, but don't you think that age is a little high for you?
Yeah. You wouldn't molest him.
1945, 19 and 45 is old for you, and then you put them together, it's like, damn. But yeah, so, you know, this is kind of spiraled. You know, Neil Young started off talking about this. It went around a little bit, and it's reached the upper echelons of society. I have a video of the White House actually talking about this.
Jesus Christ.
Imagine calling yourself the White House during this month.
Very insensitive, I agree. Bring back Obama should be president during February every year. How about that?
Last week, the Surgeon General also was asked on MSNBC about Joe Rogan's vaccine comments on Spotify, and he said that tech companies have an important role to play in stopping misinformation because they are the predominant places where misinformation spreads.
You
Does
guys
the White House and the
notice that she's
administration
not a
think
real
this is a
redhead? Look
satisfactory
at her
step?
roots.
Our hope is that
She's a
all
fake
major
redhead.
tech platforms and all major news sources, for that matter, be responsible and be vigilant to ensure the American people have access to accurate information on something as significant as COVID-19. That certainly includes Spotify. So this disclaimer, it's a positive step, but we want every platform to continue doing more to call out mis and disinformation while also uplifting accurate information. It's a positive step, but there's more that
Shutterfly is a different company.
Now, see, I have a big problem with this. because, you know, some people will say, like, well, how do you know it's misinformation? The misinformation of today is the information of tomorrow, or other gay takes like that. Fuck that. Dude, misinformation and disinformation are based. They are things I actively encourage and that I think should be a bigger part of our society. And if you don't agree with me, I ask you this. The CIA, the NSA, the FBI, these intelligence communities, these pillars of our society, they operate off of misinformation and disinformation. That's how they get ahead. That's how you get ahead in this world, is misinformation and disinformation. It helps you reach your goals and achieve the things you want to achieve. And you want to take that away from the common person?
People are receptive to misinformation, and another thing is that, like, I think we overestimate like how damaging or impactful misinformation is. So like, all these people are mad about Joe Rogan because they see some guest come on a show and say something that they don't like, but what they're missing is why Joe Rogan is so relatable to people. I feel like we're all a little bit like Joe Rogan. Okay, we're all this just like schlubby guy who gets high and listens to our friends or, you know, coworkers or whoever spout off their retarded opinions, to which we respond, yeah, anything's possible, man. And we might Google it, you know, whatever the fuck they were talking about. We'll like look at one Google search result, and then we stop caring about it forever, you know. So, you know, people don't get it. People don't get Joe Rogan. I get Joe Rogan because I'm smart.
That's a very ascended take. That's a very cogent point. That's why he's so relatable, and that's why you know, all these people, they get so jealous and they hate him so much.
Yeah, they're just looking at one instance. They're just thinking back to that one time that they were with somebody and that person said something they didn't like, and they couldn't say anything because they know that person personally, and they didn't want to make a whole situation out of that, but they can make a situation out of this because it's Joe Rogan. They're not involved.
Yeah,
you know, personally with Joe Rogan.
It's removed from them. They can use their wingcuck venom and stab him with it as they cry out in pain. And one last thing I want to say about misinformation is that, you know, just because it's female information, misinformation, you know, calling it bad, that's very misogynist. Honey, I need another fucking beer. Now. Okay. All right. So yeah, some jealous wingcucks other than Jen here are piling on and trying to talk bad on Joe Rogan. I have a CNN clip of them doing just that. Thank you. God, took fucking long enough.
The narrative is, I want to show all kinds of opinions.
Which sounds great, but not all opinions are created equal. You think about major newsrooms like CNN that have health departments and desks and operations that work hard on verifying information on COVID-19. And then you have talk show stars like Joe Rogan who just wing it, who make it up as they go along. And because figures like Rogan are trusted by people that don't trust real newsrooms, we have a problem that's much bigger than Spotify, much bigger than any single platform, Kate. But that's what is the heart of this right now.
Yeah, but you're right. It is getting at something bigger that isn't going to be solved in one Joe Rogan video or one statement from Spotify. That's for sure. It's good to see you, Brian. Thank you so much.
Why should I listen to this guy? He's fat. Why should I listen to him about health? Oh no, but the thing is, we have a health department that verifies things. We're paid by billionaires and many corporations to disseminate the information that we give to you. So that's why you should listen to us. We have people fact-checking.
Amos, would you agree to a certain extent that any kind of entity that is exploring and relaying current events to the public is some form of news?
Yes.
So you would agree that we are news. We're real news.
And I'd say, I mean, just winging it is everything about news. If your news is not winging it every moment of every day, it's not news.
As centrists, we actually disagree with the concept of winging in news. You need to be very centered and focused with your news. But you
I think
need to do it on the fly.
The main takeaway here is that Amos rightfully recognizes that the Grillcast is just as real of a news source as CNN or Joe Rogan or whoever else. It's all, it's all the same. It's all news. Okay. This guy trying to like say that there are more valid opinions, like that's some real wing cuck shit. And I do not condone it.
And what it comes down to is what we were saying earlier is this guy's literally just just so jealous that his network does not get even close to as many views, as many watch time hours as Joe Rogan does. You know, as much influence. They're feeling their influence slip, like they're holding their influence is sand that they're holding in their hand, and it's just slowly creeping out. And they say, "No, someone needs to stop that bald testosterone guy. No."
I was going to say, you got to consider the fact that Joe Rogan has a completely bald head, which is an indication of higher testosterone. Brian Stelter here still has hair on the sides of his head.
Yeah.
So he's obviously very low in testosterone.
Very low T. It's like, dude, when you get to that point, just fucking shave it off. What are you trying to save there? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, I've never appreciated that.
And who is this person on the right who has absolutely no testosterone with all that hair?
I know, it disgusts me to look at her. Disgusting. Take some tea, woman. Now, CNN isn't... They're not the only people that are coping and seething. Because there's a lot of people that are watching their influence wane and seeing Joe Rogan skyrocket in popularity. Trevor Noah is amongst them, and he takes
God, I'd almost forgotten about him.
I know. I'd forgotten about him too until I saw this.
I am white. Actually, that's a lie too. I'm kind of tan, and he was actually not black.
If you're tan,
he was
what
sort
the
of
am I? Black and white thing is so strange because
like
the shades are so
tan and brown.
There's such a spectrum of shades of people. Unless you're talking to someone who is like 100% African from the darkest place where they're not wearing any clothes all day and they've developed all that melanin to protect themselves from the sun. You know, even the term black is weird.
Oh my God. I'm not black. I'm not black. Joe Rogan's right. I'm like a caramel mocha frappuccino. This changes everything.
Yeah.
This changes everything.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, Trevor Noah isn't black. When he's talking about how he's like a frappuccino or something, no, he's like when you have some chocolate milk, right? You're on the very last of your Hershey syrup bottle. You're just squeezing the remnants in there, trying to get a little bit of chocolate in there, and you mix it up, and it's barely chocolate milk. It barely is. You can't even really taste the chocolate, but I guess it's there or something. Oh, basically, what I'm trying to say here is that if Trevor Noah can say the N-word, so can I, because that dude is not black. I do not respect him for Black History Month. He doesn't count.
I mean, the N-word is part of Black history, so...
Yeah, the Grillcast is here to gatekeep being black during Black History Month.
It's important because then you have real black people like Rachel Dolezal and Sean King who are working hard to keep their, to fight for their people. And then you have Trevor Noah going on here and trying to do
just a grifter.
He's a grifter. He's trying to do some like weird comedy stuff to take down a centrist icon like Joe Rogan. But he's really just coping and seething because he knows he's an imposter. He wishes he was black.
Yeah,
he knows,
like we all do.
He knows that like Joe Rogan's Italian. He's more of a POC than Trevor Noah is.
Trevor Noah is like Southern Italian.
Oh God.
We're getting in trouble. We're getting in trouble for this one.
Yeah, we might. That's okay though. I'll bear all the responsibility. If anyone has
I'm just reading a script. Just to clarify, I'm reading a script. This is all irony and in Minecraft, and Orion's literally holding a gun to my head.
Yeah. We're both reading a script that Micah wrote, and you said, "Look, I'm gonna say some pretty racist stuff here, okay? But that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna get away with it, bro."
I mean, as a libertarian, the gun that is held to my head is the government, and it's just all the time. So, I understand.
Libertarians always do this shit. Oh my God.
With the gun analogy and the fucking.
Do you guys ever like turn off and like decompress? Yeah, come on, bro.
I mean, we are also the party that wants to legalize weed, like, with no agenda, so we have to smoke a lot of weed to sleep.
And all drugs.
Exactly. Do you know how many drugs a libertarian has to do just to sleep?
Do you know how much drugs a libertarian has to do to reach that retarded of an ideology? Amos, you're a good sport. I don't care what everyone says. You're a good egg.
I don't care what that one guy who told us that we should bring you on the show said about you.
Now, we got one last thing to breeze through here real quick. We got Donald Trump coming back on the scene, right? This guy, you thought he was down and out. He's been deplatformed. He's been taken off Twitter, off the airwaves. No one even knows he's alive anymore. But I have video proof that he's still here and he's still kicking, and he's plotting his return as we speak.
You're so lucky to be one up.
Lucky. We'll be lucky if we're up.
He looks so old.
He is still wearing that hat.
Preston T. 45th President of the United States.
45th and 47th.
47th. Yes.
I love that.
Mr. Donald Trump. Ladies and gentlemen.
Boy.
Trump National.
He's coming back. And then look at the swing. Look at the
Beautiful.
swing.
What an easy game.
I
think it's pretty boring to be middle all the time.
He unironically has a really good golf swing.
Yeah, I'm surprised by like how like he looks all right. Like he looks like, because he's old, right? He's like 75 or something.
He looks really old in this.
It's not that I'm not saying he doesn't look old, but he looks like alive. You know what I mean? Like his movement seems that of like.
You think he lost some weight?
Yeah, he definitely lost some
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah.
I think it's all the adrenochrome he's been taking has really put some pep in his step. He's just really he's got the gumption. He's good to go, and he's 45th and 47th.
He probably realized if he lost some weight, he might realistically live. You know,
I mean,
quite a bit
I'm
longer.
thinking it's those well done steaks that he keeps eating. His body's getting into like, what's it called? Rabbit starvation, where you're just burning.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's a big reason why I could never vote for him. A man who eats well done steaks will never earn my vote. That is grill sacrilege.
Yeah, definitely off the table in terms of the centrist candidate for 2024.
Absolutely. Everything else, I could consider it, but that fact alone. But I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Amos. Obviously we're all aware that he's gonna run. He's gonna be the primary competition for whoever the Libertarian candidate is. So what are your kind of thoughts about him coming back and possibly winning the presidency again?
I mean, one thing that's interesting for sure is seeing back-to-back single-term presidents, if that is the case. But if he comes back to try to run again, I don't think he's going to win.
Is that the only take? He's not going to win.
I mean, the guy doesn't really follow through with as much as people like to think he does, and he's more talk than do. Which
we think is actually good.
What's that?
Oh, we actually think that's a good thing. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, a president that doesn't do too much for libertarians is pretty good too. But we would some people like to see what he doesn't do, but some people would like to see him to cut back on stuff like, withdrawing certain military presences in other countries or stuff like that.
Now, see, when I look at Donald Trump and I see, could he win? Could he win? I think that he needs to run as golf Donald Trump. Like, I want you to look at him in this video. When he's golf Donald Trump, he's dressed well. He's got a fucking, absolute unit of a booty. He's got a fat booty, right? Stacked. This
dummy
dude's
thick.
stacked, dummy thick. Right? He's got the confidence. He's got that eagle eye, driving the ball thousands of yards.
He's a powerhouse.
Many people say, top people are saying, he drove that ball thousands of yards.
He's not doing a retarded little dance.
Oh, the double-fisted jerk-off dance?
The jerk-off dance.
The jerk-off dance. Now, seeing him like this, it makes me think he could come back. And I think as far as what you're talking about with like policy and stuff, I don't think that policy really has much to do with it as far as actually accomplishing things, because Donald Trump's strengths aren't being, a policy wonk. It's being a culture warrior. It's being somebody who takes on those libs and owns the libs. That's his bread and butter. I own the libs, herkader, right?
Yeah, Republicans are the party that definitely ended slavery, but they want to own liberals. So
That's good. Did you come up with that? Don't.
Yes.
You did? Damn.
That's great, dude. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that too.
I'm gonna message somebody that right now, actually.
Yeah, I'm not gonna credit you either. I'm gonna pretend I came up with it and be like, dude,
I mean,
God,
that is the
I'm
nature
so
of
funny,
memes.
right?
So,
well, so you might be thinking, what's Trump gonna run on? Is he gonna buckle down and get serious, or is he just gonna do the same old thing? And
I could tell you he's going to run on Adderall for sure.
that's true.
Based.
And that's actually something we support here at the Grillcast.
We will ban men from participating in women's sports. So ridiculous. Did you see the man who was on the swimming team at a certain school that I know very well?
Did you see this? Did
The
you hear about
record held
this?
for like 11 years. He beat it by 38 seconds. But the best is the weightlifting records. They're going. One guy walks in with one hand. He's going like this. He broke the record that held up for 20 years. For 20 years, they're putting like a little half an ounce on each side of the weights. And the women are working so hard. This guy comes in. Have you lifted before? No. Oh, wow, wow. Take a look at the weightlifting records. You want to see some real... Think of it. 2 ounces is unacceptable. They beat him by many pounds.
So I
Right.
think he's just gonna do the same thing that he did last time, and he's just gonna like go up. He's gonna do a stand-up routine, right? And he's just, did you see this? Did you hear about this? Because the guy is funny. Like, for all of his faults, he's a funny fucking guy.
Yeah.
But well, without Twitter, is doing this on stage enough? Will he have the
Yeah.
reach to
Yeah.
spread his comedy? That's the real question for 2024.
And I saw an article that was it was obviously like a very left wing news source, and they were just talking about how Trump's doesn't matter anymore. Nobody's covering him. Nobody showed any of his rallies on mainstream news, and it's like, well, of course they did. The guy's like, he's not running for he's not actually running for president. It's 3 years from the election, but we get a little bit closer, and he's an actual person running for president. They're going to have to, and they will, and that'll ultimately, I think that'll ultimately lead to him getting somewhat of an edge. But you're right, unless if he doesn't get his Twitter back, that certainly presents a problem for him still.
Yeah, the mainstream media, if they do have to cover him and he's doing well and he wins the primaries and shit, they'll be like, oh, well,
They'll probably give him his Twitter back.
we have to cover him. We have to let him talk. It's democracy, but it's really because their ratings are failing and they were never higher than they were under Trump, basically, because the guy's a content machine. He just doesn't stop doing retarded, funny shit. Anyone else have any thoughts on this Trump thing?
Have you guys ever seen videos analyzing his speech patterns?
Go on.
Oh, just the like when you watch him, when people usually watch him, they're usually mesmerized or caught into seeing him going from topic to topic. But then when you actually watch a transcript of what he says, it's just some of the most incoherent sentences you've ever seen. Then they'll analyze it further, and
which is honestly amazing.
Yeah, but then they'll analyze it further and say it's not so much he's incoherent; it's he says words in certain ways and certain patterns that gets people to believe he's actually saying something. Like, he is saying something. It's like if it was a book, you couldn't read it, but
you can listen to it and it makes sense to you.
Yeah, which is the interesting part. So.
That sounds pretty high IQ, to be honest with you.
I mean, for all we know, he is just the most big-brained president we've ever had. And we will never have a president as smart as he is, with just his seductive words and absolute mastery of the language.
I know, I kind of get what you mean, where it's like he'll use words that I guess there's no other way to say it, like they seem unnecessary, but I find his use of unnecessary words to be somewhat endearing.
I kind of get like the Trump trance thing that Amos was talking about, where like you just watch him and he like does like these hand movements and he just kind of like, I don't know.
It's like a magician.
Yeah, it's like a magician. Yeah, he's definitely pulling tricks. He's not like trustworthy. Like I wouldn't like give this dude money and expect him to give me it back or something. But watching him talk is funny.
And really, when you think of it, like looking at his base and the tricks that he uses, tricks are for kids.
Well, we probably shouldn't let you and your people have access to trick cereal. Then you might use it as bait.
Or human rights.
or human rights. Now, Amos, you wanted to talk about this Whoopi Goldberg drama, and I'm not too familiar with it, except that I heard that she came out as a Kekistani and said some stuff like 6 million. That seems a little high, or something like that. But, what's going on with Whoopi?
Yeah, what's going on, Whoopi?
Basically she was on The View where she's nested herself for the last 50 years. And she basically made a comment and said, was talking about that, what's that book now everyone's talking about, Mouse, the graphic novel about the Holocaust.
Oh, yeah.
And she said, the book emphasizes the difference in race, what was happening, the Jews and all that. And she basically was saying, no. All that stuff about, the Hitler said about the Jews, all the Jewish propaganda, all the speeches that he gave, all of just everything that just was laid out to say Jews versus, Aryan Germans.
Yeah.
The Holocaust wasn't about race. It was about people. And, that sounds just, you got to give her some credit. Like, that's what every politician says. It's not about all these things. It's about the people.
It's about family.
It's about family.
She said it wasn't about race. It was about the human race.
Yeah, humans acting, on another human with, subhuman. And I'm like, yeah, no, you're right. Mein Kampf was obviously a whole ploy to say, I actually don't hate the Jews. I just hate people. I mean, who doesn't hate people?
This Holocaust thing is sounding a lot more reasonable now.
Yeah, see, it has had nothing to do with Jews. Really, Hitler was just a reclusive, like post-pandemic millennial. He just hated people.
He was dog whistling in Mein Kampf, is what he was doing. He was
exactly
saying,
to us.
He was saying Jews, but what he really meant was everyone. It was just a dog whistle.
It was really just the cashiers at Walmart. I want to use the self-checkout because I hate people. But instead of having the self-checkout, I'm going to kill 6 million people.
It was really, when he said Jew, he meant like when you're trying to get to work and there's some guy in the fast lane going 10 miles per hour under the speed limit. That's what he meant. You see, it seems like a big brain ascended take from Whoopi.
Yeah, good for her. Good for her.
Yep.
Really, really taking risks. Really taking.
I saw Ben Shapiro kind of spurg out about this and talk about how ridiculous it is, but it's like, how can Whoopi Goldberg be anti-Semitic? Her last name's literally Goldberg. She's one of you. Come on.
That whole hour-long rant, though, about how he was trying to make the case that Jews were not mice was very concerning, though.
I'm sorry, what?
Nah.
I'm sorry, what?
I just figured, Spurg like him would probably quibble about that instead of focusing on the real issues.
Yeah, he really is. He really is a Spurg. It's amazing in Ben Shapiro just how much autism fits within a little 5'1" body. Like, how can it contain it? I don't know. It blows my mind.
It makes us libertarians quite jealous how much autism he has.
If only you could harness that power.
If only you had some type of means to redistribute things.
Like, if you guys have seen Invincible, like Ben Shapiro is Omni-Man holding Invincible, saying, and pointing at the Libertarian Party. Look how much they need to mimic a bit of our autism.
Now, hold on. I don't think you're giving your people enough credit here, because I've seen what Libertarian National Conventions look like, and it looks like a Magic the Gathering tournament. It's wild. I've never
It's
seen...
like it's honestly like 2 steps removed from like furry conventions in terms of like
We're talking
retarded
about
shit that happens.
Speedo Man.
I mean, we're talking about all sorts of stuff. I mean, people dressed up as fairies, people who wear suits that are way too big for them, you know, people with like uneven facial hair, all sorts of stuff, you know, where it's very concerning. The smell.
I mean, you obviously have never smelled freedom.
I have smelled freedom.
Freedom smells like the truckers' convoy's exhaust fumes. I think that's the smell of it.
Just putting your mouth on the exhaust pipe, breathe it in.
Put it in on the freedom hole. All right. Well, I think that about wraps us up. Amos, thank you for coming on and guesting on our show, rolling with the punches here today. You've been great. Is there anything you want to shout out? Any parting words you have? Anything like that?
No, I mean, no, I'm glad that you guys were. I figured it'd be a whole lot worse from what I was told, but I mean, maybe. But I will say,
what is that? What do you mean worse?
Yeah, what do you mean?
I thought I was, gonna get freaking pulled through a real ringer here, but you know what? I'll give you the best compliment I can give, which is this is definitely better than most libertarian podcasts. I don't know if that says much, but
I mean that's a pretty.
That's a given, yeah.
But I appreciate that nonetheless.
And when you say most, I won't get into it. Never mind. Anyways, thanks for listening, my gorillas. Tune back next week for another fun-packed episode with your E-friends, Orion and Micah. Peace out, my gorillas.
Oh. What is this? What is this?
Do you not have the regular outro? Grill, cast, grill, cast, griddle, cast, the Grillcast. You just listened to the Grillcast podcast. There, see, I made it work. That's an outro.
For fuck's sake.